We've had to make some adjustments, which is why it's over here. It'll be back on the SBR stream next week, but welcome everyone. I'm glad you could join us for this SBR multi-class 90-minute championship round one. We're in the pro division, so these should be some of the faster drivers. They're going to be driving, as you can see, the I guess they're the LMP1s and the GR3s, as we have caught them in the middle of qualifying. So we are getting the stream going. As you can see, they've put their one out lap, or their main laps already in. They're all on their second lap as people have started burning fuel to get their new tires. But the GR3s are kind of looking like they're still staying on a hot lap. So let's go on board here with Jake and see how he's doing, as we see Spesh go very wide. That's going to go ahead and ruin that lap. And while we're watching this, you can see him coming up to Ascari, trying to stay within the slip range. It might be just out of it. They have nerfed it in the past months. We'll see him brake just after the bridge and try to keep that speed up through Ascari, as he does quite well taking the curbs. It can definitely push you wide there, as he's definitely in the slipstream now, just trying to get pulled along, saving. It looks like he's short shifting, saving fuel in the Corvette. I do believe it maintains its speed with a short shift. Sometimes in qualifying, people rev their car out, just try to burn that extra fuel. But as we come around, it looks like we've got about time for one more, possibly two more solid laps. If they're going in the pits, it'll be one more. All right, so they might get two more for those who stayed out. I don't know that they'll be able to go in and get another pit. So, and it looks like Jake has said that his lap time is good enough for him, as he takes the provisional pole, it appears, in the GR3 class. And then we got super fast Bobby. Watch his as he comes around to Ascari as well. It doesn't quite look like anyone's going to catch his slip. Qualifying's hard to switch between everybody because they're not in order. I was trying to check the double behind them, but we'll just go ahead and stay down here as he goes through Ascari. Yeah, I mean, he goes quick. I think he could have used a little more downforce on the entrance to keep some speed up there, but doing just fine. As he's definitely backed out of that. The original John, still looking fast. He's obviously trying to put down a starting time. Oh, watch the Astro. It'll hold you. You're fine. Oh, nice. This is a decent little exit there. He's not going to beat the 131.9, but does move up into provisional third. Thomas Walsh, who we've seen, or at least I've seen a few times previously, is very quick and consistent driver, so it'll be nice to see what he does, but he is running into a little bit of traffic on what is probably his second to last lap. I think he could probably get to the start-finish line in 50 seconds. It'll be close. And I am also trying to get the link currently for this so that those who haven't been able to find it yet can send it, but I haven't quite been able to find my own link, so that's impressive. And you can see the GR3's backing out. I'm wondering if they're going to try to get one more lap in. They still got enough time to hit that. Yeah. Still got pretty high fuel for most of them. No one's really going with any fuel burning, it doesn't appear. And now let's see if my microphone is working, as I finally found the link. Sound quiet, but that's okay. It's as loud as I can get it right now. We'll see if I can't find a way to make that a little bit louder going forward. But we'll just watch Liam and Cripps racing here, as they are on what will be their final lap, as the timer has reset. And it's really important here that you maintain that slipstream, because you're really just going to keep pulling it in. If you can get it there at the last corner, whatever time this person runs in front of you, who you would expect to be a pretty decent time, will just pull you even faster, as we see him 2 tenths up on his best time, looking for a low 47, which wouldn't quite swap him any higher, but you still have 2 more sectors to gain more time in. He does need to gain about, what is it, almost 8 tenths, a little bit over 7. So this timetable coming into Ascari will really say whether he's still got a chance. or whether he... this is going to be tough because in qualifying, he doesn't really have to back out. A little bump draft. He's up 6/10. He does have a chance here to take pole if he can keep it clean and Cripps somehow lets him by. I don't think he can bump draft him through Parabolica and have the same kind of success as going into Ascari, but he does have a decent run. He is getting pulled. And he is going to go for the bump draft through Ascari. He gets it early enough that it might not make any difference. This might actually end up working out for both of them as Cripps is getting the benefit of the bumps. And he does have the run with the slip through. Oh, he actually has done this well. He might be on for a really good lap time here. It's going to be close. And he does flip by and moves on to the provisional pole. Cripps following, or getting pushed along, I should say, also getting very close. And who do we have left? It looks like our qualifying has ended. We're just waiting for a few of the pit people's timers to run out, which is going to run out at this time. The qualifier has ended, as we can see. Scold in that 919 hybrid taking pole at top. I do need the... Ooh, that's going to go blue screen. I apologize about that. And as I understand, we probably won't have much of a live audience for this. That's understandable as we are streaming it in a weird spot currently. And I'm currently unable to get the link to Liam. So if you are watching the stream somehow, it obviously is just my name. You can just search JerryBear24 or SBR multiclass. But we look like we are getting away. Oh, here comes the safety car. I had forgotten about the rolling safety car start. That is very cool. All right, as they get their initial start with the safety car going, let's jump on board and watch them all coming down. Now in GT Sport, they do have the mechanic where your tires will get cold, and when you are traveling at around 30 to 40 miles an hour in a car that's wanting to go 150 miles an hour, those tires will start to get cold really quick. So we will be watching as Scold takes the provisional pole in P1, they'll weave back and forth, or not the provisional, the actual pole. We'll see them weaving to keep those tires nice and warm as Rotary right behind him. We got the original John in third, super fast Bobby in fourth, Thomas, I believe it's Welsh, it could be Walsh though, off the top of my head, we'll just call him Thomas, sitting in sixth. And then Liam coming up with a beamer of a lap, looking clean in his BMW, taking the pole for the GR3 class, followed closely by Jay Hill, which I believe is Jake Hill, who I have watched before and is quite a crafty racer. I had an absolute blast watching him in their previous championship, so I'm excited to see what he's able to do. Followed by Cripps Racing, also another very quick driver here in the Pro Division. We've got Spesh, whose name I do know but can't remember off the top of my head. Stambino, that's not 11th, I've lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, in 5th in the GR3. 6th is Piper, and 7th is Hatterlad, being up the end as they're coming down towards Ascari. Everyone's seeming to keep their tires relatively good. They have a choice between medium and soft tires in this series. There is no mandatory tire regulation. You could run softs the whole time. You could run mediums. You can mix them. To my understanding, you can do whatever you want with your tires. You just have to run a soft or a medium at the whole time. You can pick either one. You can switch them, whatever you like, as we see everyone probably opting to at least start on the softs. My recollection of GT Sport is we'll see mostly soft racing would be my guess. A few people might experiment with some medium long strats. But with tire wear and fuel both being at about 3 times, it's probably going to be not quite that beneficial in my opinion to be using anything but softs if you have the choice. That being said, I'm sure more testing has been done and they know that there's probably a strategy for mediums or it wouldn't be set up like this. As we see everyone beginning to stack, it looks like the LMPs might be a little confused about where to go, but they're getting there. Super fast Bobby getting in line, Thomas falling in behind, GR3 stacking up tight behind, and we'll be going as soon as the leaders get it. I'm assuming they have a green zone. I don't know 100%. It's that or the start line. Let's watch and see. It's obviously a green zone, so he's going to choose. I would go late. Oh, that's a... I'm not sure if you're allowed to do that kind of a start leader had not gone yet, and super fast Bobby is off super fast. So I have no idea about that, but we'll just go ahead and play ball, and if he's not supposed to, my assumption is he'll probably concede after a chicane or something where it's a little bit safer than just right in the middle. But no, looking pretty good as the GR3s are also coming through. And it looks like everyone's just kind of lined up for the most part here. No one went too crazy. We have a few little switches we see right here, but Jake Hill got ahead of Liam on that chicane and is in the lead, but Liam is coming back at him fast as we see him on that inside, and Jake gives him the room, but he couldn't quite make it work. If he can get it on the exit, this is a tough corner to pass in, but we'll see if he's going to get aggressive, and it's letting everyone slip up behind him as well. Little contact, but keeping it together. And we've got also a move going here, Crips Racing. It's just a dangerous area to try to do anything. It's just going to cost everyone time. We got a long time to go before anything happens here, but they are off into Ascari, and let's see what's going on up here in the front. As we see, Rotary has made his way up past the initial leader, who has fallen back just a little bit, but no big deal. Long race ahead, as we still have super fast Bobby taken up in the lead, getting chased down by Rotary. It's going to be interesting to see how these start. These P1s are very fragile, so I know for a fact that they probably, when they come around on people, are going to want to be careful, but I wonder how much they're going to want to race each other as we are watching everyone somewhat line in, as the GR3s are still extremely stacked up. We will start to notice with those P1s with the hybrid systems. I know anytime I've been in a race with the P1s, they all are going to have little different strategies, different consumption on their energies. Just make sure they do have energies, which they do. So they all do have this battery, as you can see, under the fuel gauge that's going to be wearing down as well. And so some of these cars are going to generate that battery by braking. Some of them, like an Audi, which I don't know if we have any, will generate it while braking and turning. And then you have others who will generate it like just exclusively under braking for the most part, is the best way to think about it. So watching how these different cars manage their energy will be a huge thing in the P1s, where the GR3s don't have to worry about any of that. Just keep the foot on the pedal at Monza, slam on the brakes at the corners, and just straight up race everybody. As we see huge battles still going on in the GR3 field, as Piper misses his brake spot. Is Stambino going to make him? No, he did close the gap up a little bit and he lost some time, but wasn't quite able to make anything opportunistic about it, as that group is still staying very tight. Back to the leaders. Rotary has moved into the lead and separated pretty well over Scold. And I do apologize to Scold if that is not how to pronounce those 4 letters. But there are no vowels in there, so I'm doing the best I can with that name. And then we got super fast Bobby still keeping pace with him, only back about a second, but is a little worrisome probably for him, as his batteries are quite a bit lower than everybody else's. Having a little bit of trouble in maintaining it, and this is a track where battery time is going to be very important, because you are in a straight a lot, and so you can see everyone else is running out at about 75% before it stops using the battery, while he goes all the way down and really needs to exploit regaining that battery through these turns in this Toyota. However, the 911 is still keeping over 50% battery, where we can see the Toyota dipping almost down to empty battery going down the straight. So that's going to be interesting to see how these different cars are handling their energy system as they've started to separate out. But the GR3s are currently in a battle. We're going 3 wide down the start-finish straight, and this is going to end in disaster. Is anyone going to back out? There is a 4th coming in. Oh, and they all just keep it together, keeping it clean, looking like pro drivers. And that's just really, like, Hatterlad just has to be disappointed in that. He got 3-wided and just had nowhere to go through that chicane. He had the outside to the first turn, the outside to the second turn, and just got passed by both. And now he's actually got Spesh pushing on him as well. And this could be 3 positions lost over the course of 2 corners, going from midfield all the way to the back. But, little contact, but keeping it clean. Oh, wheels sideways. Good control. A lot of time lost there, though, so the leaders are just starting to separate away as Liam and Cripps are all over each other, and I'm sure Jake is loving seeing that in his rearview mirror. The more they battle through these Lesmos, I believe they're called the Lesmos, the more he's just going to get to separate away. We've seen him drive with, crazy battling and the ability to get around cars, but I'm sure, just put him out on the free laps, and that's got to be one of the best feelings in the world, just running qualifying for 90 minutes. So I wonder if they're going to keep battling behind him, or if they're going to find out who's actually quicker and just follow each other. as we see everyone coming through Ascari going down towards Panorama. Starting to separate a little bit. Spesh has clearly had a mistake as he has fallen back a little bit, but we do have the P1 still relatively close. It's only 3 seconds through the top 4, 4 seconds through the top 5, so the entire group is within 4 seconds. Very tight, very close racing there, as Jake is still kind of starting to just extend his gap early, starting to show the real prowess of that Corvette. Corvette's a fantastic car as well. I'm sure we'll see as he comes out of these chicanes, one of the strengths of the Corvette is you're not going to lose much speed, but you're also not going to have to rev this car out. Where, you know, for example, if you're driving like a Hyundai or something like that, you'll have to rev it out every single time. But you can see he's shifting right at 50%. And yeah, if he's really pushing, you'll see him go up to about 65% on a shift for the Corvette. You don't really have to rev it out too much to really get the most out of that car, as the BMW doesn't quite have the exact same luxury. You got to put a little bit more into it to get the same thing. And the Porsche is all over him from Cripps Racing, as Liam has gotten through into second on the previous lap. Apologies for missing that. And then we've still got Stambino all over Piper. This right here is the battle for 4th, I believe. Yep. So battling for 4th, trying to make his way up. It's all about keeping those consistent times. You see everybody in the 47s right now, except a couple people haven't quite found their groove for the 47s. And then even up here, Jake's, you know, he's starting to hit 46s. If he gets consistent in the 46s up here and everybody else wants to fight for 47s, I don't expect that there's going to be much anyone's going to be able to do without mistakes from Jake at that point. I think people have got to start looking at that timer and realize that if you want to race for 1st, we're probably not going to have to start racing for 3rd right now. But at the same time, if you think Jake's going to be that much faster and you really are racing for 2nd, don't let anyone buy you. Race for 2nd, 100%. As the P1s have started to separate a little bit, which is to be expected with these cars, they will have different fuel consumptions. As you can scroll through, you can see everyone's at the exact same fuel, actually, so that's not accurate. Typically, they have different fuel consumptions. That is interesting that they're all running the same fuel, because usually you will see Porsches run very short stints compared to Toyotas, who can run a very long stint because they have better battery consumption typically. But it looks like a lot of the Porsches are keeping up with the battery consumption with the Toyotas, unless I'm getting my cars wrong. Are these all Porsches? No, absolutely not all Porsches. So yeah, very impressive so far. We'll see how it plays out through a longer race. We're only 10 minutes in, just passing the 11-minute mark to be precise, as Jake has once again run another 46, and Liam right there at the 47.0, so that's less than a 10th, or right at a 10th lost. Cripps did not have as good a lap last lap, so he's going to fall back a little bit, but that's going to happen throughout the race. People aren't going to run the same 10th every single time. Piper also looked like he was battling a little bit, as he lost a little over a 10th in his last lap as well. Stambino's starting to get his consistency down, though. 47s across the board, and here comes Hatterlad as well, dropping into the lower 47s. And then, yeah, Spesh will keep up with. He's running back, but you can see from his times he's had a little bit of incidents. It happens to someone, but that's why they're long races. Realistically, he's only back 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 seconds from podium, 6 seconds from podium. So over an hour and 18, he has plenty of time to make that up. As we catch Thomas going just a bit wide. And he's once again on his own race, as he's quite fallen out. Once you lose the slip on this track, you kind of just are in your own race. And I'd say the best thing you can do is don't pay attention to those time gaps. They're going to go up, they're going to go down. Everyone's not perfect. Just really focus on your brake spots, your apexes, and just check it every 3 laps or so. You can tell what the time gap is. You don't need to see that it's exactly 1.46 or anything like that. You can simply just see that you're getting closer and further, and then when you start to really close it down, you can check it 2 laps later and realize, oh, it went from 1.7 to now it's just 0.3. So really just focus on your own race. If I was in those positions, as you're still quite within the race, 2 seconds is a decent spin, which all these cars coming out of these chicanes can get decent spins, as we catch Spesh getting it all wrong, and probably correctly is going to let everybody go on by, as that's rough and the exit. That's a rough corner right there, and you know, it can happen. There's a lot of these chicanes can get real trouble getting out of when you come out of them. and you get on that accelerator, it is real easy to spin these around. And that's just what happens. And yeah, over an hour and 30 minutes when that stuff gets rough, I can understand that. But Rotary currently still in the lead of the P1s, or the LMP1s, and then we've got Scold keeping that gap close. This is going to be a battle. Their paces, 33s. Yeah, this is going to be a battle. It's going to be a battle of patience early. This is a long race. This isn't a 30-minute sprint. You've got an hour and a half here that you're going to have to really battle it out. So it'll be interesting to see what we're able to do, as Bobby's still keeping in grasp just out of slip range, but he is keeping them in sight. As you can see, the GR3s in front of him, as they are all starting to catch up on him. Now, John's still within range, has plenty of time to catch up. Same with Thomas, but they do need to really start getting those laps consistent, as they've both proven that they can run those 33s. They just got to hit them every lap. As we've got Jake with a decent gap, 2 seconds to Liam, who's also sitting in consistency. So, you know, as Jake had actually a pretty bad lap last lap compared to his previous ones, lost about a second, so probably got a little spin like that out of a corner or something, or out of all of them, and just kept losing tenths. As we see Cripps all over, Stambino battling through the field all the way up into third. I apologize for missing that, as the P1s are starting to come through. This is going to get dangerous. Oh, you don't want to catch them. Yeah, you got to get by. And then there's a little gap, so you get a little breathing room. I feel very bad for the P1s catching GR3s through here. Oh, as we have a way off the side is Liam. Oh, and then contact with Scold. Oh, the pole leader gets sent off. He gets himself back on the track, and that is going to hurt. But, I mean, honestly, a great job of getting back on the track and not losing too much time. Now, it's really going to come down to how well he can handle this traffic, as we have Rotary still in the lead, Bobby. Then we got the original John, who has managed to keep the gap relatively close, considering all the contact and stuff we had going on just a second ago, as Thomas is making his way back through the field. And we have Scold probably going to get massively, nope, just going to drive through him, massively slowed down here. So yeah, this is traffic for you. It's nothing you can do. And he's just had an accident. You can just see him just like, get out of my way. We got time to make up. As he gets through him, it was tough, but yeah, he is on a mission to get back in this group, as we have the original still staying back. Thomas keeping his distance, closing it in, hoping to probably time this GR3, the leader, Jake Hill, so that he doesn't catch him right here, so he can just get him on the straight, which is perfect. As Jake gets a little wheel spin, which is pretty common out of that chicane. The first chicane's real difficult. As everyone is sitting here, as Liam still caught up on Cripps, which is impressive after he had that off and then that contact. He's gotten it back together. Piper has also closed that gap right up in here, as well as the battle for second, third, and fourth, and even fifth is right here battling. As sixth isn't even that far back either. Oh, as we have a big contact into the chicane. It looked like Cripps may have gotten that wrong. I'm sorry I don't have a replay, but Liam was definitely the recipient of that bump, as he also makes a big fall down. As they are not racing like they have an hour and 30 minutes to go. They're racing like this might be the final lap every lap, which is beneficial to everyone who's had an incident, because it means everyone in front of them could, as well as we see the original all over super fast Bobby. As he's out of battery. That is a brutal place to be in. He is a sitting duck, as we have super fast Bobby and the original John almost going side by side through Parabolica, as they're going to come around in the straight. And if he can't get that battery built up, he is going to have trouble defending this, as he needs to go into saving mode for a minute. He needs the battery back, or he's never going to be able to keep up on the straights. And Thomas is going to get right into the battle as well, as he's on a purple. Well, that's probably not accurate. He did run a purple. Oh, it is accurate. Oh, nice. I thought I had a bug. Thomas is beaming right now, just trying to close this gap down, as he's on his hot lap, as we've got little gaps between everyone else, it looks like. Scold is still trying to close it down, but it's going to be tough to do when Thomas is in front of him running the hottest laps of the event right now. And then Jake Hill coming through one more time, as we have another battle with Cripps Racing. They are battling everywhere. Did anyone let them know there's a timer on the bottom right they can use to see that there's a long time to go? Oh, and Piper's still right in there. These GR3s have been at it the whole race. Almost no separation between the groups. as we see Liam probably getting held up a little bit here by Hatterat, as he had a all red section 50 and then a 52. I think he is having trouble getting back up to speed, or having trouble getting through the back markers. As we all know, that can be a difficulty. Doesn't matter if it's a daily race or a league race, the back markers can always slow you down a little bit. Oh, his Scold gets a little sideways through Ascari, which makes sense. It's one of the fastest sections, or one of the fastest turns, I should say, through the whole track. So the faster you can get that, it's really a good time makeup. So you can see he is really trying to push that pace again as he's back into the 33s again, even with the little bit worn tires. We've got Thomas coming around on another good lap. It looks like not as good as the last one. No, he's actually lost almost a second, so not as good a lap, as we got the battle again with Supra Fast and the original John trying to hold the brakes until the end. He got a tire on the grass. That's going to run him wide. And he gets it back up the inside. Original John is going to come down to battery. Possibly he's going to run out again. It's going to stop right at the bottom. I think Original John's going to get him on that back straight if he doesn't start building up enough battery, because he's still sitting over 25%, half fuel. Yep, and he gets right around him. Yeah, it's the P1s. You've got to maintain your battery, because if you're lower than they are on a straight, you're going to have a lot of trouble. But they are going to probably continue this battle, and it's a great position for him being. He actually can recharge his battery extra. Lift. What's he in? The Toyota? Yeah, lift and really be aggressive a little early so you can get a lot of that braking power. I believe the Toyota also will restore some battery under lift. If I remember, that might not be the Toyota, though. But yeah, you literally can sit back and just try to use the draft as your battery while you're doing everything you can in these corners to really build that battery back up. Oh, as he gets 2 tires to slide, that is gonna be tough. So he's just gonna have to keep that head down, as Thomas is now all over him, and you can see Scold behind chasing it down as well. Thomas going on, he's looking, getting that car in there later on the brakes. That's brave. Ooh, and he gets it done, it looks like. Yeah, he's gonna be able to carry that speed, just slip in and try to catch up, as they are hunting down Original John. But Rotary checking out. He is out here by himself, just having a fantastic race on his own, as we got a run from Bobby looking up the inside. It's on the late. That might be too late. The cutback is... Oh, cutback's open. This is letting everyone get up. This is really slow. Yeah, that was real slow through there. He wanted to cut him back, but he kind of just parked it on the apex. And we're going to end up in a 3-way battle down the back, or the front straight here. Oh, who's going to be brave enough for this chicane with 3 of them going? Is he going to go for the dive? Backs it out, all over each other. Everyone just giving the little love tap to let them know, hey, I'm still here. Ooh, really aggressive on the throttle trying to catch up. As Original John definitely can see the pressure, and that might have forced him to go a little bit wide. As we see up the inside is Super Fast Bobby, and Thomas is also trying to be opportunistic with it. He's trying to get the slip. Oh, he moves over to give him the slip, and oh, that's smart. Weave between them, so you're giving slip evenly, so neither one of them can build a gap. That is genius. I love it. Super Fast Bobby, you're one of my favorites, even if you did jump 6 seconds early on the start. But there was a safety car, if I remember. No, I think he's jumped early. And then we got Original John falling back, as Scold is opportunistic through Ascari as well. Back into the GR3s, they have started to separate a little bit. We do have the battle for second still raging, as Piper has come down, but their fuel's starting to get low, so they're probably, you know, I'd say 4 or 5 laps from coming in, possibly earlier. We'll see what their strategies look like as they start to get there. And Stambino, who had a good lap, just really came in with a 2:11 that we must have missed. That has to be an off, so, you know, still plenty of time to battle back, but that's rough. Whereas the time is going on, you do want to try to start building your consistency up, not down, as Rotary has now built the gap to 9 seconds, which, as we've been watching, there's been quite a battle for second and third and fourth and fifth in the P1s. They have been all over each other. And Rotary is just taking advantage of it and just driving flat laps and just sticking to his own thing. And while everyone else is slowing each other down, he's gaining seconds. So as we can see, they're in the 33s pretty consistently. Even a 32 by Scold there. Just barely missing fastest lap against Thomas. But then the 34s, and then there's a random 35 where Rotary doesn't have any of these randoms. He might not have a 32, but he doesn't have any 35s either, so he's kind of making it back up with the consistency as he is going to lap Stambino. Oh, that's not him. That's Rotary. They're in different classes. But he is catching up on traffic again, which I know if I'm in the P1, it's like, oh, again, we just did this. How are they already here? I feel like I was lapping you guys just a lap ago. But he is already back up on them, so it will be coming around for a second pass in the next few laps on the main group as he's getting the back marker at this point. We've still got Scold looking. Thomas still hunting in the same area, and John, who's fallen back a little bit, is still in the battle as well. As we still have Jake building his gap, and Piper and Cripps are still battling, but a little bigger gap as Liam's still trying to close it. Hatterlad gotten its consistency down, building it up, and Stambino is having a little trouble back here, but he has gotten his lap times back under control, so let's see if we can get him back into this race as well. Got Liam looking clean. Piper wanting to close that gap down. You really do want to try to get in the slipstream range. So you can see him really pushing that car to get it out there, to really try to get something happening there, as we do have the GR3s and the P1 starting to catch up. What is it, maybe a half a lap before the leader catches the main part of the GR3 field. Super fast Bobby has Thomas right on him as he's right on Scold. Scold, who had a huge off, has battled his way all the way back through this field to get back into second place, which let's just go ahead and give him a round. That is an impressive recovery. It hasn't even been 10 minutes since he had that off, and he is already back up into second. We'll see if he can close that gap down on the leader now that he's finally got some clean air for a little bit. And I say that as he's coming up on an entire GR3 field in a few laps, as we do see Jake going in to get his first pit underway. Piper follows him in. Liam. Oh, it looks like all the GR3s are on the exact same strategy, except possibly Stambino, who looks like he has already pitted. As we go back into the... Oh, it looks like Cripps also stayed out for one more lap. Possibly two. He is flashing, but he could get... I bet it's just one lap. Either way, it's always a risk when you stay out. The overcut and having everybody undercut you really puts you on needing to put down an amazing lap, because they're going to be doing theirs on fresh tires and you're doing yours on the oldest tires in the world. So he really does have some pressure here to keep that going, as we have a lot of cars by each other right here as they're coming out of the pits together. Jake, who has fallen back 11 seconds, obviously this is because Cripps has not pitted yet, is still maintaining an 11-second lead, who then has Stambino, who, I apologize, I thought you were further back than you are, but based on your fuel, you have just gone to a different strategy, which is why your time was so much longer. And that is interesting. We will keep an eye on this, as if this works out, you are different than them. You could have lower fuel, better tires at the very last stint, if you have everything planned out right. I've had experience with that in the last race, where you just go in real early, get yourself on a different strategy because you have one short stint anyways. So you might as well just do it right off the bat, and then you are on a different strategy of everybody else, and you can basically just wait for them to pit, and if you keep running clean laps by yourself, you will pass everyone on the last pit stop. Very interesting as we see the P1s coming through the GR3 field. They have all kept a very tight gap for the most part of this race. There's been a little bumping and elbows out, but the gaps have still remained pretty tight, except for Rotary getting a decent separation. But it was about 9 seconds last I looked before Scold was in position to start gaining time, as we start to see one of the P1s and Cripps Racing come in for his stop as well. It's interesting to see one come in with that much fuel still while everyone else is staying out, but we'll see how that plays out. It may be a similar thing where they know that they have one stint that only uses 80% or 30% fuel or something like that, so just get it out of the way now. As Rotary is on a best lap for himself, which would be a best lap. Oh, it'd be close to a best lap, not quite, as Scold put down a 32.5. Kind of gave up a little of it in the last lap, but as most people are sitting in the 33s, high 32s, Rotary mid 33s, very comfortably racing right now. I think Scold right now might be realizing that this time gap's something he can close down. That's half a second faster than almost the next fastest time, which means it only takes him, 10 laps to make up a 5-second gap, and we have way more than 10 laps left to go in this race, as he is on another purple lap right here, really trying to just keep it on in Ascari. If he's running purples with low fuel and those worn tires, that means the weight difference is massive in these cars at low fuel, and you can actually be gaining time in the P1s even as your tire wear is getting worse. And as long as it still has the grip to not run off any of these things, and you can keep that floor down, is he going to keep it? This is impressive. Just missing a purple lap there. But, yeah, I mean, that is impressive. So he definitely knows that gap can close down. Rotary's got to start thinking that's a little bit of pressure behind him. And then we have Thomas still keeping this gap. I mean, amazing race so far from Thomas. We hope he keeps it together. I'm never talking about someone. The casting curse is horrible. Not even doing it. I moved away, Thomas. Don't worry. That was not my fault that you spun there. I apologize completely. As Jake Hill's gotten his lead up to 11 seconds. But I don't know if this is an accurate representation of it just yet. It might actually be more like... Yeah, we're going to have to see how this works out, because we got some different pit strategies going in here, but it does look like Cripps has completed his, and it is about an 11 to 12 second gap between the two of them, as Stambino is on a different strategy. As you can see, there are fuel differences. So even though they're racing here, currently Cripps would be ahead of him because Stambino still has that less fuel. But with the weight difference, not so much. You know, try to catch it up, but you're going to want to see that gap coming down, as Piper has also found himself in this battle. Also on a best lap of his own, just pulling on some slipstreams. Whoo! Can't really do much here. You just want to keep it tight and keep pressure on them. You want them to see you and think you'll do something. But, you know, realistically, you should just know, like, as long as you're hitting your apexes, no one can do anything here. It's not a real good pass unless you make a mistake, so you've got to just try to make them make a mistake. And then, same with Ascari, like, you can try to get a run, and if you can get the run, you can definitely hold the inside. You can hold all the different angles in Ascari for sure. But it's just tough to get that run a lot of times, get enough overlap to really feel confident in diving in, because once you're on the inside, you need to use a lot of track to get that thing across, and if they're there, you're just going to come across somewhere, have to brake. Oh! As Stambingo goes very wide, doesn't lose any time, really, but yeah, definitely gets very wide out of there, as we're going back to the P1s, see how they're doing. They've separated out a little bit. So we'll jump back into the battle for second and third and fourth, as Liam's also trying to come on into that, as Hatterlad's got a little bit longer to go to get caught back up, but he could still close that gap down, absolutely. But Liam is closing it in, as Piper is all over Cripps Racing here. Let's see what they're looking for. He's going to go defensive. Stambino going defensive. Cripps is going to the outside, and Piper's just trying to see what opens up. Just being very patient to see where people go and try to just be opportunistic. And everyone keeps it clean, so does he. Stays in line. While they're doing this, the gap to Jake is still... I'm just going to say J Hill, because maybe that isn't Jake Hill. I'm going to say J Hill is 11.4 seconds, so... We'll see how that gap changes, but I think it is about where it is after stint 1. So at the conclusion of stint 1, J Hill has gotten a solid lead, while Thomas, who obviously didn't go in the pits when everybody else did, jumped into the lead. Original Tom, who's on the same, John, not Tom, is on the same strategy, it appears. Both of them able to go in just a little bit later. In different cars as well. Interesting, as Rotary then comes on by to get back into the lead. And it doesn't look like they're going to be coming out too soon. Super Fast Bobby's only 6 seconds back. Scold, who also off of his pit stop has fallen back a little bit, as we're starting to see everyone get a little bit different. Couple people came in, couple people stayed out. I do apologize for missing most of those pit stops as we were watching the GR3s in a battle, as it looks like they might still be battling. Is Liam caught it up yet? He's bringing it down inside a second, as they still continue to go second, third, and fourth. Jake's time has actually been dropping down as well, so Jay Hill is losing time to this group, as they have stopped battling a little bit and started following each other. As he's running high 47, low 47, 48s, and then we've got behind him 47s consistently. And I think this is smart of them. They aren't losing too much time following each other, and they are closing the gap slowly and surely. So if you don't know for sure you can make the move, probably don't do it, and just really hope everybody keeps it clean, as Liam still got that just over a second now. And then Hatterlad still trying to close that gap down under 6 seconds, so that's good. We've got Thomas, who has fallen back a little bit, but it's hard to say because he just came out of his pit, and the original John has been out a little bit longer. Same with Scold, who's been recently out of a pit for a lap or two, it appears. We got super fast Bobby, also keeping it clean, but as we can see, the gap to Rotary's down to 5 seconds, no longer 9 after they've completed their first stints as well. So just over 30 minutes into the race, we've got Rotary leading the P1s, followed by Supra Fast Bobby in second place. Scold, the initial pole leader, in third, sitting on the podium. Original John, 2.5 seconds back in fourth. And Thomas, currently a second back of him, in fifth. And then at the GR3s, we've got Jay Hill, 24 Racing, leading the gap, up by 11 seconds now. So he's gotten it back under control on this lap. Stam Bingo in second place in a battle for it against Cripps Racing, who is in third. Battling against Piper, who is in fourth, who is almost battling against Liam in fifth. And then in sixth is Hatterlad, who's still right at that 6 second gap. As soon as they start battling, that'll get closed up quick. Just keep that consistent. You'll do just fine, my friend. As we see the gap starting to build up, it looks like the P1s are going to just kind of be settled in as we watch this battle for second continuing to go on. This is laps on laps of this now. Like, I don't know. Can they keep this up for 55 more minutes? I mean, I hope so. We'll see, as they are very cautiously coming into this chicane. Yeah, they are being very cautious, which I think Liam's probably fine with, as he is closing that gap up as well. And once again, Hatterlad under 6 seconds when it starts to go back up, so that's great by him to keep that gap absolutely consistent. Are we going to have any moves coming into the second set of chicane? And looks like everyone is completely comfortable with racing their race. They don't need to race for anything yet. You know, I don't disagree with the thought process as a driver. I think sometimes you do have to just kind of look at your tires, look at your fuel, know what your strat is, and just say, I need to be on my race. If I'm looking at my lap times as Piper right now, I'm saying, dude, we're doing good. Our times are fine. No one's getting away from anybody. Jake is 11 seconds down, so regardless of how good we run, we need mistakes from him regardless. So yeah, I think everyone's sitting in a real good spot. Liam has gotten his pace going as well, as he's just sitting right behind this gap. Hatterlad's gotten on pace as well, as he's just keeping that gap exactly the same. And then up into the P1s, we've got Thomas catching up on the original John, bringing it in within a second. Then we got a little gap to Scold, who is trying to close down Super Fast Bobby. Super Fast Bobby, who is being super fast. Trying to keep that gap while still maintaining the gap to Rotary, who has lost a little bit more. He was at just about 5 last we checked. It's down to about 4, so these guys are doing quite well. And, well, he's on his best lap right here, which won't be short of a, well, it'd be about 5/10 short of the fastest lap, but he's got Scold chasing him down as well, who actually just ran his fastest lap, starting to get consistent in those low 33s, mid 32s. If he starts putting down consistent 32s, he is going to be a racer to be reckoned with. I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do here, as John keeping it consistent with Thomas right on him, trying to make him stay honest, miss an apex, and I'll take it from you. We still got Jake Hill with the 11-second lead, which means that they've been being consistent behind him as he's really being aggressive. That is an impressive driving style when you have that big of a lead. And I know he lost time there by doing it, but you still have the know-with-all to stay that aggressive and to realize you are still racing. I know a lot of people who, when they get in the lead, they start to do this kind of stuff. You know, you start to put 2 tires on the grass. You start to try to be like too cute into corners and stuff like that. Instead of just hitting your brake points, hitting them like you're racing someone the whole way. It doesn't matter if the gap's 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or an hour. And then we've still got Stambina with Cripps all over him. Piper's dropped back a little bit. Liam's dropped back a little bit, but the battle is still completely on. Are we going to go for it here? Are we going for it, the Ascari pass? No Ascari pass. Just keeping it tight, trying to put pressure on. I love the driving style. Just make your car as big in that rearview mirror as you possibly can. Make them think you're messing up, even though you're not, because then they might open up a corner for you because they think you're going to hit them. They might brake a little bit later. Anything you can to keep that pressure on. And on the brakes again, keeping it tight. It's impressive driving. Driving this close is tough because you can lift too early and then they see that you're separating out and they know that you're not going for a move if you lift too early. And if you brake too late, you slam into them. So it's impressive to keep it this tight. as he is right on him. Look at that Aston Martin, a little bit of rubbing back here as he is all over him coming down this back straight. Just keeping it all on him as he's got one right in his mirror as well. Looking good. I really wish they would clean this view up. It has so much potential right there. Just look how good this almost looks. So fantastic. Oh, and around the outside, I missed that. The P1s are catching up. The GR3s, this is where you got to start being opportunistic in both classes, because as they're catching up, you need to start looking for moves as people make mistakes. People can get randomly bumped off, and when people open up corners to give room or not give room, when you're in the same class as someone getting past, you can use that to try to get in there as well. Use these P1s to try to open up a corner for you. He didn't quite do it there as he couldn't get on the second guy, but if he gets both of them here and he opens the corner up, you could follow him in. Oh, if I was the Porsche, I'd have dove down behind him instantly to try to follow him through that corner. It would have been cheeky, but you know, sometimes you got to be a little aggressive, and they're only gonna pass you a handful of times. So, you know, each pass you can look at as a dangerous time that you've got to be all careful, or you can start getting opportunistic about it and look at how you can make this work for you. As we're going to watch Thomas come up on this whole group right here out of Ascari, probably going to catch them mostly in a good spot, maybe a little lift here. Ooh, just the tiniest of lifts, but yeah, keeping it clean. Is he going to get them before Parabolica? This is going to be tight. This is a tough corner because they're so much slower than these high downforce P1s are. Oh, is he going to try a different line to try to keep speed up? Take it tight? He has nowhere to go. They're taking up the whole track. What are you supposed to do, Thomas? They're taking the whole track on you. And Thomas finds a very alternative route around them, and that is a huge amount of time lost. But that's multi-class racing for you. Sometimes you're the lucky one, and sometimes you're just not quite as lucky, as Scold is up on Bobby, but you need all 4 tires on the gravel if you really want to go dirt roading, man. That was only 2, which lost him a little bit of time. Everybody touching the grass just for luck. It's the lucky grass over there. But he has closed this gap up, and if we see the gap to Rotary has remained the same, I am quite confident that if he keeps this pace up, in the next 49 minutes or so, he should be right up with Rotary, assuming everybody keeps everything clean. Trying to see if we've missed anything with contact as we were going through there, and I don't know if anyone's surprised, but we have the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the GR2s, as I am. Oh, he has pit. I thought we had the biggest off in the world. Jake has gone in and pitted. I was like, how did he go from where he was to where he is? But he has clearly gone in for a full pit, as everybody else is still on quite ample fuel to continue going. This is an interesting strategy. I apologize for missing what your fuel was at when you went in, but this either just got him where he is going to go flying by everybody when they go in on their pits and just be on a different strat and just be flying, or you know what, I'm just going to go with that. I am sure he knows better than I do, so I have a feeling that that's probably smart, and when they go into pit, he is going to get a big gap on him, as I believe the last we saw, he was at about 10 or 11 seconds. So coming at the end of these guys' second stint, we will see where that gap ends up at, as Jake has fallen back into last. Now, what could happen is if he actually catches up on these back markers like Hatterlad, and he probably won't catch Liam, but he could, as they are really battling up here, then they could potentially slow down Jake's run, as he's kind of in clean air right now as they keep it clean. But Piper's trying to get that position as well, and he does, as Cripps has gone ahead and gone on through as well into the current lead of the GR3s. Piper chilling in 2nd, and then we've got Stam Bingo, who is having a fantastic race so far, getting up into 3rd. Yeah, because Jake has fallen back with his pit stop. He is currently in 3rd. His fuel's flashing, though, so we know he's on a different strategy. He's not currently in 3rd, but if he can get his last stint to be about right here, he could potentially be coming out in like a 3rd or 4th position, which has a lot of potential to be a good finish after he had such a rough start. But we'll have to watch that closely, as it also has potential, if not done right, to end back at the back of the field, because you are on a different strategy. You do have to time everything right at that point. Liam also has closed this gap up, and he is right on the back of this battle for the GR3s, basically. It's like the whole GR3 class battling right here. And then Hatterlad, who has fallen back a little bit, fallen off pace. It's understandable. Once you kind of lose your pace, we can see over here, he is down into the 48s. It can be tough to get it back. Oh, as we get back just in time to see Liam run a little wide, that's going to be a little disappointing. Got to get that head down, focused back in, because that was a lot of work to lose on one turn. I understand that frustration. Been there, done that, but you've got it. Keep that head down. Is Stambingo going to get any kind of run? He's got to go in the pits. He's not going to get any kind of run. Yeah, so he's into the pits. Piper into second. Cripps into first. Most likely, Jake's going to pass him on their pit back into first, but provisionally we currently have Cripps Racing and Piper battling for first in the class, as the P1s are currently decently separated. Super Fast Bobby keeping it close to Scold. Scold bringing that gap down to Rotary as well. But I think these battles, for the most part, have a few laps, if not longer, to really start to make out, as there has been a few mistakes made that have created some gaps. But we will have more passes of the P1s and the GR3s, which means absolutely any kind of mayhem could potentially end up happening. As Liam's trying to close that gap back down, he is on a personal best lap by 0.06 of a second, so is keeping that consistency. His current optimum's quite a bit faster than his best, but we do know there are a couple funky break zones. The one right before Ascari, if you miss that break by a little bit, you can actually make your section time a lot faster than it should be, because if you're at full speed when you should be already on the brake for 20 or 30 meters, you are going quite a bit quicker. So we can see this one right here pops up like right at the braking zone. Dink. And so if you're late on the brakes there, you will actually gain time in that sector, making your optimum way off, because you could gain 3, 4, 5 tenths of a second by missing your brake by 10, 20, 30 potential feet. As it looks like going through the chicanes, we've got a couple of close P1s. As Scold has made the pass on Supra Fast Bobby. If we had replays, it wasn't that long ago, we could probably have checked it out, but I do apologize. And it's just hard. We still have this battle going on right here. As Piper, I don't know that they're actually battling, though. I do think at this point they have decided, let's not battle, let's just put some laps in. As we've got Thomas with 11 seconds on the original John. He does have plenty of time to make that gap up, absolutely. The pit strategies are going to make that gap up as well. In the current state we have, it is hard to tell where everybody specifically is on the track, because we do have all the different fuel wears, people going into the pit soon, people not. So we will need to wait for their last stint to really define where these positions are. But we do currently know that Rotary is absolutely in first, as he has led basically the entire race. Scold started there, Rotary took it on the first corner, and that was about the end of the time that Rotary was gone. But Scold has brought this gap down, and as their fuels are roughly similar, it looks like they are currently on the same strategy. So this is actually a current positional battle, where someone like Superfast Bobby and Thomas are battling for position, but their fuels say that they're on completely separate strategies right now. We still have Cripps Racing in first in the GR3s as well, followed by Piper, as we see if Scold is starting to separate from Suprafast. Rotary is also keeping consistent, it looks like, with his times, but again, his times are in the 33s, and then we know when we look at Scold what those are going to look like. And that's where that time's going. He is going to close that up pretty quick, gaining roughly 3 or 4 tenths a lap right now. It means he could potentially have this gap closed in the next 4 or 5... No, that's not right. It'd be like 8 to 12 laps if everyone stays consistent. And their fuels are roughly the same. Rotary has quite a bit more, but roughly the same. So like I said, they are probably on roughly similar strategies, maybe a lap or 2 difference, as Scold goes purple into Ascari, keeping it clean, starting to catch up on a back marker again. I'm sure he's like, man, can we just stop passing GR3s? I know the feeling. They're just constantly there. It can be a good thing when they stay all grouped up in a battle, because you've only got to pass them the once in the one spot on the lap and just try to catch them in the right spot. Where when they're all spread out, you're just constantly having to pass another one and another one and another one. But at the same time, it is tough to pass the group threes when they're all 3 wide going down areas. Or, you know, when they're 3 wide through Parabolica, there's just not enough room to go. As the gap has come down to 2 seconds, Superfast keeping it right there in that 1.5 range. Definitely going to need to pick the pace up a little bit if he's wanting to keep up with Scold, but he is still bringing down the gap to Rotary, so he does still have second and first right there in front of him. Thomas still in range, but definitely starting to look at the time and realizing that we are just about halfway over, or just over halfway over. I apologize. And he's going to want to start making that move because 8 seconds isn't too much, but at the same time, you're not making up a second a lap as he also goes purple right before getting slowed down on that chicane. And then coming around, Jake, who is still waiting for them to pit, has closed the gap down to 7 seconds, gotten past Hatterlag. Stambingo, who has pitted, obviously, has fallen back into last. So he is in that teeter-totter area of when the pit window's right, he's up there at the front. When he's on the bad side of the pit window, he falls back to the back. So he's definitely trying to figure out a way to get his pit windows to work out to where he's at the front. But that's tough to do because everybody else is going to have their pit windows measured out as well, as Liam, flashing red, comes on in to grab his fuel and a new set of softs, I assume, as I haven't quite seen anyone use a medium yet because, like I said, I didn't expect anyone to. As Hatterlad also going to go ahead and come on in, as this will put him most likely back at the back again, as Stambingo has completed his. And so Stambingo should be coming out just ahead of Liam, right behind Liam. It's going to be close. I don't know how long the fuel timing is set to. Just behind, it looks like. But it is tough. This straight loses a lot of time. And he is going to close it up a little bit, but he is going to still have a gap he's going to have to close down. As now that these pit strategies are starting to come into play, we're starting to see Jake, like I said, he's now made a 17-second gap over Liam, and that's probably even going to be bigger than that over Piper, as Piper is only 9 seconds ahead of him, and Liam is now staring at a 17-second gap with 40 minutes left to go. So just over halfway through the race, we are currently sitting, as we see, he's got it under control. Looked like he was running wide. We see Rotary currently still in first as he is catching up on some more GR3s, saying, I'm staying right, you go left. Little wide, but actually just using the downforce, pretty good there. And on through we go. In second place is Scold, who is coming from an alternative dimension from that line, but it did work, and he did go ahead and get around. Bobby, impressive super fast Bobby. The gaps were looking scary. You didn't quite seem to have the pace early on, as it looked like that was getting closed down fast, but this has been almost an entire stint of keeping that gap relatively close. So very nice drive right here as Thomas, who is also pushing over here, only 2/10 slower on his fastest lap than the fastest lap of the race, is not closing the gap nearly as much as he would like. And then Original John also running quite consistent. Just a couple mistakes are really what cost him here. He made a couple of bad turns that got him back in the field, and now he's on a good pace, but it might be too much, but we will keep our eye on him. As Cripps Racing is... I missed you earlier, Cripps, when I was talking about Piper being in the lead, I assume. I apologize. But Cripps Racing currently in first with an 8-second gap over Jay Hill, but Jay Hill, who has already pit down to half fuel, and Cripps has not. So Jay Hill actually has half a tank more than Cripps Racing does, half a tank less than Liam, but Liam is 17 seconds back. So we really have a weird situation here where there are a bunch of strategies that have actually started to separate themselves. People aren't fueling to the same amount as everyone else, it doesn't appear. People aren't pitting on the same windows. So we do have a little bit of a situation where we will need to wait for everyone to complete their full strategy and really see where everyone pops out in that last stint, as we do have some close racing through Parabolica with the P1s. Once again, Superfast Bobby closing that gap down. Did we have Scold with a 1:34.7? Clearly got something a little bit wrong and lost a little bit of time as he is pushing. Not quite. Almost looked like he was going to go wide, but he did not, as he's starting to get some wear on those tires. He still has enough with the weight advantage to still run fast laps, though, but I'm sure he's not happy about a 34 and a 33 back-to-back like that. Luckily, there's no 32s behind him, but he is closing that gap. Thomas's gap's maintaining about the same. John's as well, as Cripps comes into the pits, as Jake will definitely get a good gap on him. So we'll see how it works out. I think if you're Jay Hill, you're probably thinking you're in a pretty good spot here. But you probably don't know that everyone behind you is also running quite consistent laps, but not quite the same. So I think you have built a pretty good gap here. I think the strategy will be sound, so we'll see how it works out. I'm loving the 7-Up livery, though. That is looking quite fresh and refreshing at that. As we see Chris come out, Liam and Piper pushing down, and the battle for second is on again. What do you know? The stint's finished, and everybody's all grouped up again. As Stambingo has lost a little bit of time in this area, but it's not actually bad because, as we all know, their fuels are way higher than his, so therefore he still is on a different strategy. So we will see how that works out. As Hatterlad is keeping the gap down. It is good. He is doing decent with his times. The 2:14 is obviously a pit, but everything else is the exact same. But the paces are just a little bit different, although we do see Stambingo dropping into the same pace range. And then we got the battle for second, and they just aren't putting up very many 48s, if any at all, almost. You know, there's like 2 48s on that, 2 48s, I only see, yet 2 48s there. And we've only got the 148 over here on Piper. So this is a battle. I bet you they are having a fantastic time out there right now. I mean, can you imagine just straight battling from the word go until the 29th lap and you are still in the same position? This is fantastic. Congratulations. That has to be fantastic no matter how this ends. I am absolutely jealous of you guys. Looking back at the P1 Supra Fast Bobby into the pits to get his full tank, I don't know that he is going to quite be able to make this one last 35 minutes. It seems like a lot of their pits are coming in at about the 20 to 28 minute mark. Unless I am thinking of the GR3s. We will learn more about people's strategies as this series continues. We are learning what everyone's planning to do round one here right off the bat. But I do have a feeling that all of these people are trying to push long enough right now to make it to a one last stop. They're close, but oh no, they're not. What am I talking about? Not at all. You would have to, you know what? We're just going to stop guessing. We'll wait for the third section to come up and we will find out together, because I'm not good at math. Alright, so we've got Cripps racing about a second up on Liam, so we've still got the battle, but he has separated a little bit. Let's see if Piper thinks he can get this move done. Oh, almost too wide. He lost a little bit of speed there, trying to keep it from going a little too wide with that understeer. Oh, little spin. Those tires there are pushing, and they do not want to see racing get away as Cripps is in front of them by right about a second. Now, Liam's probably going to push real hard, I bet, through this turn, because you really want to close that 10th if you can, because the slip is huge. No slip is bad. Oh, he needs to get it. That is so close. 7.5 is about where I start to notice the big jump. Because you can see here it's going down by like barely any. And now watch. Yep, there's the slip. 7.5 or 0.75. He's moving it down by like a thousandth and like 2,000ths a second. And as soon as it gets under that 7.5, it instantly starts dropping by like hundredths of a second. So definitely want to push to keep it inside that 0.75 range to try to get slip. But we are going to see the difference between the BMW and the Porsche. The Porsche does have a good acceleration out of corners, so it can make it quite difficult to hold that slip when you're right on the edge of slipstream, because it can actually pull out of your slip for a second before you actually get up to speed. But if you can keep it close, once he gets to this area right here, he should be able to make up a decent chunk of this 5/10 with the slipstream on him. As we see it coming down into the 4/10, and he'll be right up on him by the time they come out of this chicane, ready to go attack, as he puts down his best lap of the race. As we see, he currently, spectacularly, is running 2 best laps. He's got a 47 flat and a 46.8, both best laps. Cripps Racing doesn't currently have one of his best laps on there, but is staying very consistent in the 47s, as Piper has brought it up, and it looks like Stambingo is back just a little bit running his own race as we start to see Thomas come in. Looks like Scold is barely going to be able to do his last lap, and then Rotary, who has had his gap closed down to 1 second, is able to go a little bit longer on his fuel, so it'll be interesting to see if he comes in or stays out as well. As you know, it's interesting because Jake Hill's, when they are on the track racing, Jay Hill's gap doesn't go anywhere. It stays pretty consistent. You know, the first stint he was chilling at about the 9 to 11 range, and so far this stint he's been chilling at about the 17, 16 range. So when they're on the track racing with him, he seems pretty even on times. However, his strategy so far seems to have worked out quite well to get him high enough in the lead that even if he needs an extra little pit stop, or even if he pits at a bad time, he does have quite a bit of room to make up that. So that's quite interesting to see if he's just winning the strategy battle here, as we see Piper looking up. Not Piper. Cripps looking up the Liam looking up the inside of Cripps. That's what you get for looking at Piper while trying to cast the battle in front of him. As Liam does manage to get up the inside, keep it tight. As now we've seen Cripps race this on board a lot. Let's go on board and see him follow him down, as he loves to keep it right on him, as the bump drafting has been real here at Monza. As Piper is also back there helping out as well. This is a three-man train. Oh, we got two on the grass. This is dangerous. Oh, he gets a little into Liam. Oh, and Piper's trying to take advantage of it. Oh, as Piper let it go. I think Piper could have been a dick there and maybe kept his car just right in there and not let him out, but could have messed him up, so probably safer to just back it out and find a safer way to get around. As we watch Cripps come in, as Rotary and Scold both come in. So Rotary, even though he had more fuel, did go ahead and come in, so he must honestly think he can go to the end right there, and he's trying to make up some time in the pits. As we jump over there to see how big that gap is, yes, it made him up about 4 seconds, because it was down to about a half a second, 1.5 seconds when they went in. So he got 4 seconds by coming in there with his pit stop. Quite smart. The tires will be even, and the batteries are also quite even, as neither one of them seems to have anything on the board. As everyone is kind of gapped out, we've still got some, or do we have all the pits? Well, we got original Jean needs to come in for his pit, and everybody else is pretty much fueled up, and if they can go 30, they're good to go. We will find out. I expect they can go 15, 30, 45. Yeah, they can probably go close to 30. This will be the third pit, so I think they are probably trying to extend their fuel the rest of the way here. Can be somewhat tough to do when you have low battery, but we'll watch Rotary as he catches up on the backtrack right here. Easy pass. Very well done. Very cleanly done. Super Bobby only 2.3 back, so still trying to keep it tight, as the original John is 3 back of him, but we know he's about to go in the pit, so that's going to fall back quite a bit from there. And then we have Thomas 5 seconds back of the original, which makes him 14 seconds, almost 15 back of the leader. And then we still, Jake Hill Racing leading the way in the GR3s, driving the 7-Up Corvette, looking fly with an 18-second lead. Second place, currently Liam in a battle with Cripps, who, believe it or not, is still in a battle with Piper. This has been going on all race. I can't even explain how excited I am to watch this, to just see this conclusion, as Piper, just really being aggressive there and just did not want to lift out of that throttle. Ended up getting that wheel spin, but I have full faith he's going to close that gap right back up. But he's in the same situation we talked about earlier. You do want to get that slip, because if you're out of it, you could get left in the dust. And he is not in it, and it is starting to climb. And so he is going to need to really hit Parabolica here if he wants to bring it back down, because if you don't get in it and they can slip for like 2 or 3 straights without you catching that gap up, it can be difficult to get back in. As they all have similar strategies, you don't want to fall out of this battle if you can, as he really pushes it over that curve, wanting to gain any little bit of time he can. It is coming down, though. If he can get them to battle a little bit, slow down a little bit, but you can see it start to go back up, and that's because they're starting to use that slipstream. As they are going to battle, this might give him the opportunity to get back in the slip so he doesn't lose this battle, but they cleanly pass each other. I don't know how much time was lost. He's going back up the inside of him. You can see Piper really putting the floor down, trying to get back into this battle as best he can, but he is slipping slowly and slowly back out as Jake comes in for, I keep assuming it's everyone's last stop, but we never know. He comes in and he came out. Oh, I must have caught it late because he fell down. I was like, that couldn't have been a full few, but Jake is out and in this battle as well, it looks like, as the P1s are also catching up to him right now. Piper trying to get that draft back in. He can't quite seem to close it up. Just out of it. Oh, he is just in it. That is what he needs to see if the P1s come through and do anything. Staying clean as they come on by the GR3s, who can't get too wide here. That would be dangerous. Is he going to go for the pass in the chicane? He is, and he does get it done. Oh, that was aggressive. He tries to get on the inside with the P1 Cripps, and believe it or not, they're all back as Piper's looking to make a move. Look at that aggressive angle. I like it. as they're coming in. We'll go on board with Piper as he is trying anything he can, or Crips Racing and Piper, as they are trying anything they can to find openings as the P1's trying to get through. Oh, little tight. Oh, as Crips get that angle, he's got the wheel. He's got some overlap, but it's going to be tough. That Beamer is going to probably have the power. That acceleration ends and the Beamer gets the power going. Back in the slip, we're bumping all the way around. Jake Hill 4 seconds back, so if he doesn't have to pit again, I think his strategy may have just worked wonders. If he has to pit one more time, it'll probably still work well. The only thing that he needs to make sure he does is that he doesn't get caught up in any of this battling, because he's not really racing them anymore. They are all trying to battle to catch up and battle each other as they are door to door through here. As we have a little close battle going on up here, as it looks like Scold is bringing the battle down to Rotary, as we are going to want to make sure we keep an eye on this. Down to 1 second. This gap can close in a hurry in these P1s as they have gotten their batteries back up after completing their pit stops. And it could come down to a thing where if you really want to win this race up here as Rotary, you need to make sure that you're maintaining that energy, because you're going to need it to battle with him. If he's been closing this gap up for the past 45, 50 minutes on you, and you know you've been seeing him close that gap up, like, you want anything you can. Your tires are roughly the same, your fuel is roughly the same, you're a little bit better in both. So if you can be better with the battery, that might be exactly what he needs to keep that lap. But, I mean, battling this 1 second lead as it's closing down for 26 minutes... Oh, I mean, that's where your hands start sweating and you having to really not focus on that timer coming down. Just race your race. It's easy to defend when someone's, it's not easy, but it's easier to defend than attack. So just defend your life off and they might not be able to get by you. Now, Monza does have a lot of really good passing zones. So we've got Original John catching up to, I thought he was catching up to Thomas. That is catching up to back traffic, and that is... And this is what sometimes happens when you fall off the pace, is you just can't be aggressive with the traffic anymore because you're not with anyone. You're in the back, and you end up losing time every time you go by. But Thomas, 11 seconds back from super fast Bobby. He does have more fuel than him. He does have nicer tires, so Supra might not be making it to the end. And if that's the case, I think Thomas will move up into third. And then, obviously, we've got the battle for second. Although they are currently... the GR3 leader, Liam, followed by Crips Racing in second and Piper in third. As we have who will be leading after the pit stops complete, Jake Hill in fourth, Stambino in fifth, and Hatterlad looking nice in this BMW. This is really nice looking coming up at the back of the GR3 field in this first race, as we are going to go on with the 3 wide. Oh, that little tap probably meant he can't keep it up. If he hadn't tapped him, but it helped him out. Oh, Tokyo drifting through here. Yeah, that... Oh, as Liam gets it all wrong as well. And it looks like Crips being opportunistic. I think Piper probably helped Liam because he was going to concede to Crips anyways, because he got those 2 tires on the grass. And that got his car all sorts of sideways, and that was just all great driving to keep his car from just wiping out everybody there, as we saw that happen live. As Jake has now closed the gap up to him before they have even gone in for their pit stop. So they will literally lose exactly a pit stop worth of time to J Hill 24 Racing, it appears, at this point in time. And it'll be interesting to see if he keeps on pushing or if he just kind of falls in and follows, because if his strategy goes to the end right now, which it may not, but if it does go to the end right now, then he knows for a fact he has nothing to push for, because they all have to pit in front of him. Well, yeah, they probably all have to pit in front of him, and once they go in, he goes by for free, so there's no reason to get caught up in any accidents, no reason to get caught up in anything. But when you are quicker, man, it's hard to hold back and just, oh, as we see Rotary get this a little bit wrong, as Scold is bringing it down even more. Sitting at about 1.1 seconds between Rotary and Scold. Scold, if you recall, started first on the pole, but coming up here into Lesmo 1, I believe. Oh, Rotary's still just being all sorts of aggressive. But yeah, it was coming into Lesmo 1, I believe, the first time the P1s were passing the GR3s. They had a little contact, and Scold got knocked all the way out into that kitty litter out there, and somehow managed to get his car back on the track quick enough to lose a ton of time, but not lose, you know, some people hit the kitty litter and lose their race. But no, he went out there, got his car back under control, and has been on a mission for the past hour and 8 minutes trying to close this gap down. And now with 22 minutes to go, he can see the blood in the water as he's got this gap right at a second. Pretty soon, if he keeps it up, going to go under a second with... I'm still trying to keep track of their fuel, and I think they are good to go to the end. So I think he is racing for the win right here against Rotary, who is defending for the win of the P1 class, as Superfast Bobby, if I'm right about them, can also get pretty close to making it. Thomas should also, if I'm right about them, and we should basically have almost everybody on their last stint. I believe maybe Superfast and Original John can't quite make it, or maybe everybody's going to need just a little bit more fuels. Rotary's going very wide and letting Scold get right up on him as they go down this back straight. This will be full slip. He might be able to get a run into the chicane coming up ahead. As I can see going through Ascari, there's a battle on those GR3s. It has to be them. They're the only ones together. So hopefully they are alive, and we will go back to that once we see if Scold can get this move done, as Scold has fallen back just a little bit. So let's go check out this GR3 battle, because we can see that they're all over each other. And who's up? Oh, Jay Hill's up in there, because he is actually coming up on... I mean, I guess it wouldn't technically be lapping him, but he is definitely... They do not... Oh, as we have contact, and Liam goes way wide and into the pits. Was it contact, or was he... Oh, that was lucky. If that is a pit that he needed, that is really lucky to be that close to the pits, as he took damage from the hit. That's going to add more time to his pit stop. That is not what you want going into the last pit rounds, as Jake has now officially pulled this gap all the way up. And I'm not sure what you're supposed to do if you contact someone and they go straight into the pits. I don't know how you even concede that. I think you just stay on your race, and there's not much you can do. He went in the pits at that point. Can't concede to someone in the pits. If there was, he may have just gotten too much on the accelerator, realizing he wanted to go in the pits. We caught it from the back view, so it looked like contact spun him into the wall, and then he instantly went in the pits to get that repaired. But that is going to be an interesting thing coming up to see where he can come out, as he will get a little bit of clean air back here. So he did fill to full, so I'm assuming he thinks it's 20 minutes for the tank, or he overfilled just to be safe. He did have to spend some time repairing everything, so... As we do have Jay Hill caught all the way up, and we've got Scold 0.8 of a second up here. Everyone else has got a decent little gap, so it's a battle for first in the P1s and a battle for second and third. Potentially second, third, and fourth, depending on how Liam comes out of the pits once their pit stops start, because we have Scold, who is actually, you know, since we've been watching this, he's been having a little bit more trouble bringing this gap down, as he hasn't been quite as consistent as he's been. As we see, his last lap was a 1:35.2. Entering the last 20 minutes, we are currently sitting with Rotary going through the field of some backtracks, that's not the word, some back marks. Leading the P1s, he's been leading for the vast majority since lap 1 of this race, with Scold trying to close him down. Also going through, as we see, I believe that's Hatter. Nope, that is Stam Bingo going very wide. I couldn't tell if he got helped or if he did it on his own, as they are trying everything to continue battling. This has been a blast to watch as they're going down that straight. Back up here, seeing if he's closed. This gap has gotten big. Rotary starting to hit some consistency, and Scold, who has been on a hunt for an hour, is starting to lose a little bit of it. We're going to have to see if he can get this back under control, because that gap was very low, and now it's starting to get massively separated as we watch the three people battling through, as Jake Hill has made his way on past them into the lead. So Jake Hill is back into the lead of the race, followed closely by Cripps Racing, and then we have Piper right behind him. Hatterlad currently up in fourth, with Liam 3 seconds behind him, dealing with all of the traffic as well. It's a terrible place to catch it. And then Stam Bingo bringing up the back of the field, coming up on lap 40, 18 minutes to go, as they are still all battling. At this point, you know, you think Cripps is probably trying to suck on in with Jake Hill's slip and just pull. Like, if he really is as far ahead of you as you might think he is, which it appears he might be, you know, a quarter tank more fuel, I think they might all be stopping one more time, to be honest. This is going to be interesting. I can't wait to see this final stint. Over here, we've still got the original John quite a bit back, half a tank. Thomas, half a tank, and they went in at 30 minutes, and they are about half a tank, just over 15. So I do think they might be on their last stint, as they are all sitting in that just over half a tank range. So they very well may be on their last stint. It'll be close to see. Super fast Bobby catching up on a little bit of traffic here. Doesn't want to get slowed down. Whoa, can't really pick a side. Or are they teammates? Are they help? I'm confused. Is he helping him? You are like a billion times faster than him. All right then. Well, so he's doing that. So I guess we'll see if Scold... Oh, he's brought it back down within a second. Let's go. Rotary is definitely noticing that. Was it his mistakes? No, it wasn't Rotary too much. He did lose about 7/10, but Scold went from a 134.8 and a 135.2 down to a 133.2. So not only did he get his stuff in gear, but Rotary, who was actually quite consistent, just watching his time come down, that is a terrifying thing. When you run a decent lap and your time comes down over a second, you know that person behind you just figured something out. That is terrifying to be in. As we still have a little bit of battle, it looks like Liam got up in through here. So Piper must have had some sort of mistake to let Liam through, because Liam was a little bit back. And then we've got a huge gap from Liam to Cripps, but that is 100% because of the pit stop. So Piper's fuel's full. That's what happened. He pit stopped. Gotcha. Oh, J Hill. I hope that wasn't as close as it looked when we glanced over there, because that looked like you guys got real hairy in there. Oh, as these P1s are really starting to push. Was that Scold? Yep, Scold is still trying to get that down. Is he going to be able to do it in 15 minutes? I mean, it's been 15 minutes and this gap has not changed. It's gone up and down, but it is still at that same gap. Will he be able to put this together? Let's look at their fuel. Fuel's roughly the same. Battery's going all the way to full. Battery's going almost all the way to full. So this is going to be interesting. They're both doing a great job of reserving their battery. Yeah, they're stopping at almost the same spot. They're both doing a great job of reserving their fuel. I will say Scold is very close to 50% and very close to 15 minutes, so that is interesting. He might not have enough. Rotary, I think, should be good, but the P1s do burn fuel, interestingly. So we'll keep an eye on that as we see Cripps all over J Hill Racing. Liam still quite a bit back, but Piper right on him, which means if Liam has caught up to Cripps when Cripps comes out of the pits, it's going to be a three-way race for second all over again. So this is going to be interesting. I don't think Cripps can make it 15 minutes on a, what is that, 18% fuel or so? 12% fuel? So I'm pretty sure he's coming in the next couple of laps. And that'll be where Jake gets a 20-something gap. And it'll be, a huge gap. And that'll probably be that if Jake doesn't... I mean, Jake could even pit and come out and still probably be ahead of him at that point. Almost. So he has had a fantastic race. As we look back up here to Scold, seeing what he's doing, he has got the gap at the exact same. It's 133.8, 133.2, and then over here, 134s. How's this gap? Oh, 133.4. There's how the gap's changing. Gained a 10th there. Ooh, getting it on the Rotaries figuring it. They are both figuring out their paces, and this is just an impressive drive to watch. As we go ahead and check back one more time, it seems like it's about the only real battle for position. I guess Piper and Liam are battling for position, but my assumption is they are waiting about another 8 minutes or so before they start going insane, just looking for mistakes, as they've already been waiting about an hour for that battle, as we see Scold still keeping the gap the same. It's getting tense, but everyone's kind of keeping it nice and clean, as we see Thomas catching back up on some GR3s. Original John has a pretty large gap to him, but they're all really close to making it on fuel. J Hill starting to gap out on Cripps Racing, so that is not looking good for anyone to take his lead away from him. Even though Cripps is on a best time for himself, he is not going to ever be on a fastest lap, since there are P1s in this group. It is one of the depressing things when you're racing in these multi-classes. When you're in these slower class, you can't see the fastest lap of your guys. And if you can't see the fastest lap of your guys, then you don't really know how your pace is doing compared to them. And you can't see gaps of anyone anywhere on the track except for the one person behind you and the one person ahead of you. So it can, and obviously the leader, so it can make it really hard to figure out, like, am I doing well? Am I doing poor? And so you do just have to put your head down in this game. Absolutely, heads down, and just drive your drive. You can't see the info, so don't worry about the info. As Scold just can't really get back into those 32s. I don't know if his fuel's not quite low enough to get there, or if he's just constantly making some mistakes, as they are currently in one of the closer... Ooh, it's probably those. That is going to be a decent gap that Rotary just gained. That is... and when you're in the final 12 minutes, that can hurt. You don't want to give up 5-6 tenths of a second. You want to make everything count, as Cripps Racing does come into the pit, so Jake starts gapping that, as we will watch on Liam as see where Cripps comes out. As we know, Liam took damage. He may have had a little bit longer pit time, but also Piper was in that battle, and Liam is ahead of Piper, so Cripps should be, if he kept his pace, right in this battle too, as Cripps is starting to come out. As they are coming down, there is Cripps, and guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We once again are in a GR3 battle for second between these three, as this is going to be dangerous for Piper. Oh, Piper had to back out. I feel bad. Oh, but Cripps goes very wide. Very wide, and that might become a two-way battle for a second. That is not what you want to do to exit the pits. We saw it. I think he may have thought Piper missed his brake, or we may have missed it and Piper did. I think he may have lifted off his brakes for just a split second to make sure he didn't get punted, and that meant he missed his braking zone, running it a bit wide. 2.4 seconds is not something that's undoable, but you do really hope that they start battling sooner rather than later, because anything they can do to help out will be helpful. As we now see Jay Hill has a 20-second gap with 10 minutes to go and a quarter tank of gas, almost 11 minutes to go. So, since no one else will have to pit, if Jay Hill ends up being short on fuel at all, that would put a dent in things. And we have had more issues from Scold, as he has lost another second, as he has another 35. I think this might be what does it in for Scold if he keeps these up. He's on a best lap, so you got to start, really pushing. I think we need to settle down. And just know that you can run a lap that will catch you up. You don't have to run the best lap you've ever run. You just need to start getting in those 32s, because your leader's nowhere close to them. You start hitting 32.7s, you're going to be almost gaining a second a lap. So we just need to get you into your normal zones and close this gap right back up. But we've all been there. It is hard to, like, settle yourself down in those moments. When you're making those little mistakes, you start trying to overthink your corners. And it can get real difficult, as we have side-by-side racing between Piper and Liam, as Piper gets by Liam. Is Liam going to battle him back on the outside? He's keeping it tight. He is, which will give him the inside for the chicane, which will win him the chicane. Piper's going for the cutback. That'll give him, if he can keep it there, he'll have the inside to the next chicane, but he can't. He's slips it down, slips it out, and that gap with C. Cripps should drop down just a little bit. Oh, they're going to go side by side. This is the angle you want if you're Piper. This is the inside-outside exit, which is what you want for the next corner. It is hard to fight this if you're Liam. He's trying, though. He went way over the curbs. Oh, and he gets the defense right there. As Cripps is just watching this, loving every bit of it. As let's go on board with Cripps and watch his battle. Back and forth. We still don't see anything change at the top of the P1s. So we will see what they do going on the straight, and then we will go check on the leaders of the P1s to see if we've got anything close. 1.3, he is battling 32 force, what we were talking about. You just got to get into your drives. Now, he did put down his own fastest lap, so he took it one step further than my suggestion, but it doesn't get any better than that. He is reeling and dealing with 8 minutes to go. This is getting excited, and Rotary is catching up on this little battle we have in the GR3s. Is he going to get by clean? It looks like he should be able to get by clean. Now, the real question is going to be, can Scold get there before Ascari? Because if Rotary gets there before Ascari, which he does, this will slow down Scold massively if he doesn't figure out a way through this. We get a really wide run going. As he has to carefully get back on, which is going to let Stambingo move through on Hatterlad. What a rough situation to get caught up to by traffic. We have all been there who've done multi-classing. That is not your fault, Hatterlad. That is people battling for a win while you are on the track with them, my man. But, you know, good job keeping it clean, getting yourself back on that track and putting the pedal back down as we have battling going into the chicane as well as he's starting to lose the gap, as we are starting to see the issue as Cripps is right back in the battle as well. Who would have thought it? As we are starting to see the issue right now I'm seeing from Scold is that he is not able to really get the gap in the slipstream range, and if you can't get in the slipstream range, you can't make a move at Monza. You know, you've got to get pulled up there. There's not enough weaving zones. There's not enough Ascaris and stuff to bring people down where you can win in a braking zone. You have to get that slipstream win. You've got to get that release win in order to pass here. It is going to be really difficult if we're going to constantly bring that gap down and then constantly let it go back up on the straights. So we are going to be going back and forth a lot here between these battles, as we've got a battle for second, third, and fourth in the GR3s, and still a battle in the lead right here as Scold is still trying to bring it down under a second. He has the slipstream going into Ascari. Let's go on board with him, because why not? This is going to keep closing and closing as he is full revving. He is not trying to save fuel or anything. He is in attack mode. Late on the brakes, trying to use that downforce as he gets it right up in. He is going to have to slip in. We see a little bit of traffic ahead of him. That is going to get tense for sure, as there is no one behind him. This is the battle for the P1 lead right now, as Liam and Piper are still battling behind, as we can see them going into Ascari on the minimap in the top right. As he gets a run on the outside, but there is traffic there. Is he going to be able to? He comes back on the inside. How clean, he's cutting down. Oh, let's go. They are in a full battle, and they are in a full battle. I don't know about you guys, but I am absolutely hyped right now as Liam is already going defensive. 6 minutes to go. They know there is 3, maybe 4 laps to go, as they are side by side in the leads as well. As Rotary is defensive in the chicane. He's going for the cutback. He's got the run on the outside. We are going to have to jump up there as Scold is trying to get this run. Behind, they are also 3 abreast for second. Oh, this is going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go as he is right up on him. Ooh, he's going to go ahead and go defensive. Rotary's defensive. Scold is up the outside. Is he going to be able to stick it in there? No, he's got it. He missed the break. He missed the break, so he's going to go around the outside. There's contact. Scold isn't messing it up there. He knows how this contact works. He's already had this. He's learned his lesson, and he is through into the lead as now Rotary is on the back foot, needing to find a way to battle back, and he doesn't have the same pace. He runs 33.5s, and right now Scold is pumping out 32s consistently. This might be for the win. He may have just done it. We've got traffic to deal with, and Rotary is still in the battle, but that is just getting work done for, what was that, an hour and 25 minutes to get back into that? As Thomas is right in the middle of this traffic. And, oh, and John is caught up to Thomas, so John and Thomas's strategy have come in line as well. They're only 5 seconds back of super fast Bobby, as Jay Hill is just being as careful as he can. Only an 11-second lead, but being as careful as he possibly can. We have Liam, Cripps, and Piper still battling. Piper has fallen back a little bit. Apologies that we missed that. That must have happened during the lead. Scold had to go into the pits. Scold did not have enough fuel to finish this race. 12% wasn't enough, but Rotary has enough to finish this race for sure. 25% is plenty. That might cost him second place as well. Where is Supra? Not nearly close enough. He needed just the minus amount of fuel. That's a 5-second gap now, and he only has 4 minutes to close it. I don't think that's possible, but we all know anything's possible. Side by side, Cripps is trying to go up into second place in the GR3s, but I don't think he quite has the aggression under braking. He's going for the cutback, though. It's the same move everyone's making in this chicane. It's the cutback. Force it aggressive and then get them to fight it so that you can just cut back right under them. And this gives you the better position for the second chicane. This will give you the right entrance and the right exit, as well as setting you up efficiently for the next corner. So this is a really, really crafty move to try to get in there. It's not going to cost him much time to do it, which means Piper shouldn't be able to close it in, but not going to lie. Oh, I mean, Liam didn't get the exit right, but Liam with his defense and getting aggressive on the exit of the chicane is really keeping it alive, but that bad exit is going to give Cripps the throw through, and guess what? Piper is right in the battle as well, as these three have been battling for what can only be described as the entire race. If they were on the same pit strategy, they would have never separated from each other, it appears. As we do still have the battle for the back of the field in the P1s, Scold is got a 5-second gap from Rotary, so again, I don't know that there's enough time. Rotary just can slow it down, keep it clean. I mean, honestly, let's be honest, this is going to be an impressive drive if Rotary keeps it together. You know, Scold put down the fastest lap of the race. Scold was the person who had the lead of the race. As we see this battle continuing on, John's fallen back a little bit more. He's actually closed it down a little bit more, and Thomas is still right in there. Jake is probably just fuel saving at this point, trying to make sure he doesn't run out, as Cripps, Liam, and Piper are all battling together, as Piper's trying to close that gap back down again. It seems like when the battle gets crazy, Piper might be the more passive one in the group, so he tends to get the worst of it, or most likely he's just having the worst luck of the battles, as you see him weave over trying to grab just any point of slipstream he can. Late on the brakes, hoping these P1s and everyone battle. As they do, this is going to help him close up a lot. Yep. Oh, a little bit into the P1. As Thomas is good to go. But Original John and Thomas are right on each other. I do not think Scold will bring that down if Rotary doesn't make mistakes. So we will watch this, and we will watch this battle for second as Piper used those P1s perfectly. The LMP1s were just coming through, and he just used them to not only get a little bit of slipstream, but also use them in that corner to close up on this battle as they slowed down the battle. As we see Liam still pushing hard, those tires have got to start getting hard. Liam is in a tire issue right now, but oh, way wide goes Cripps. That is going to cost him a lot. Liam needs to thank him a lot because Liam does not have the tires to catch that gap. Liam has the tires to defend the lead as Piper isn't going to let him defend. He's going to go inside. This is dangerous into Ascari. He gets the full clear. Liam trying to drop down. Is he going to push it back? No, it looks like he's going to give him the gap as Cripps is also falling back. Jake Hill with a 16-second lead. Thomas has fallen back at the Original John, so clearly a mistake was made. And it's starting to look like the gaps are separating enough that we have Liam battling Piper for second in the GR3s as everybody else is mostly set up where they need to be for the finals, as this race has been nothing but excitement as Liam gets it on the inside and he gets the acceleration. It can be slippery there. It can be a tough place to pass because everyone wants to push. The cars are understeering off the track, and he just stuck it in there, kept it in there. Now Piper's doing anything he can to try to get Slip to go. It's tough, though. It's tough to get a good run because then right as you get out there, you start getting that side draft if you're too close to him. It can be tough as they are side by side, hard on the brakes. Liam is aggressive in these chicanes, so I'd expect him to win this, but he doesn't get it. Oh, this is an they launched together. Piper with a little bit of wheel spin, but he still gets it under control enough to get this set up. Now we have seen down in here the aggression that Liam will have on those chicanes to try to be aggressive on it, but he is going to need to get the run back on him because he has been fully passed now. He has no overlap as they go on the brakes, and he still has no overlap, so he's not going to be able to do his normal defenses. He tries to get he tries to get aggressive on the outside and does. How did he find a way onto the outside of Piper there? I don't know. This is where you want to be, though, if you can keep it aggressive. Oh, he doesn't quite as Piper's tires. Their tires just aren't letting them race like they want to. Everyone's getting that push as he is back up in him. We have no time remaining on this race as Rotary, 6 seconds away, is on his final lap. Scold, 5 seconds back. We have Jay Hill coming up on Parabolica. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, do they run more lap, or is this the final for the GR3s? We are going to find out in just a second, as Piper has gotten by Liam. It is the final lap. Piper got by him in Parabolica, or not Parabolica, Ascari. Oh wait, Piper's been by him. Liam needs to get back by him, that's right. And Cripps has actually brought this down. He's not going to be close enough to get it, but right here, Liam's got to go for it. You have no choice. Launch it. There's going to be contact. He has no choice. There's going to be contact. They're going to be side by side. Oh, this is going to be a drag race to the finish. What is going to be faster? Oh, I don't think he's going to be able to pull it off. He needs anything he can. The Viper's got more than the Beamer as Piper goes in. And I really hope his name's Piper and that I just thought of that because I just thought of what his name might be, but it's not Ash, so I'm pretty sure I had it right the whole time. Going back to the lead, is there any chance of a change? No, it looks like Rotary with an amazing drive. Absolutely fantastic. Lost the lead there towards the end. Scold, who just had the wrong strategy by about one lap, had to go in to get more fuel, and this gives Rotary the win of the race, as we have Stambingo and Hatterlad. That wouldn't even close. Hatterlad coming across for the finals. Rotary takes the win here at the first round of the SBR Multi-Class Championship. And Skuld with an impressive race. Could have been a devastating race with how it started. Battles all the way back, had the win at his fingertips, but ends up taking a respectable second place in the Pro Division. But congratulations to our victor, SMM Rotary, winner of the round 1 at Monza SBR Multi-Class Championship. What a fantastic race, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to our winners from the LMP1 field, SMM Rotary, and from the GR3 field, Jay Hill, who both had fantastic races for different reasons. Jay Hill with just a strategical and masterpiece from start to finish. And then Rotary, just the consistency to fight off all of that pressure and just wait for any kind of mistake and get the mistake you've been looking for to take the win. Absolutely fantastic racing. Thank you all for joining us here at the SBR races. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. This is Jerry. Next week, we will have the stream back over on SBR where it's supposed to be. We will have everything set up in advance, and it'll be even better than round 1. So looking forward to seeing you there. Thank you to all. See ya.